you're looking at Ethereum in the next couple months, like what are the biggest challenges on your mind?
Getting the merge done, I think that's been the biggest challenge for a long time. It's a big problem. It's a problem that research has been working on for like almost a decade now. It's a problem that developers have been working on for several years, and like now, finally testing, finally getting quite close to actually getting it out there. So I think the merge is going to be this big moment that the entire Ethereum ecosystem is really looking at and focusing on, and people have a lot of big hopes and expectations for.
In the meantime, we're seeing that the fees are coming down. There's been this inflationary, deflationary from the burning of ETH effect. What do you say to the developers who are kind of frustrated with this and are looking at other layer 1 alternatives?
Yeah, I think scaling is aside from the merge, definitely Ethereum's biggest problem at the moment. And there are a lot of different projects that are working to fix it. So there are the layer 2 teams, for example. Optimism, Arbitrum, Metis, Starknet, ZK Sync, Loopring, this longer and longer list of projects. Then on top of that, there's all of the work that's been happening on sharding. We just had an online workshop where we talked about some parts of the sharding spec, and there's been a lot of really good progress on that. And I think there's a lot of community will to put a huge amount of effort into it. Research effort starting now, but development effort once the merge is closer to being finished, and we're past that step. Then all the eyes are going to turn on to sharding and giving us some more scalability. So I'm confident that Ethereum is going to be much more scalable a year from now than it is today. And even Ethereum today, I think rollups are much further ahead than they were a year ago. Right, a year ago, doing anything on a rollup was basically unrealistic, and they barely existed. And now, rollups are just a regular part of people's lives on Ethereum. And
you saw the exploit with Wormhole. Does that give you concern over the bridges between blockchains?
Definitely a concern. I think there's many different kinds of concerns. I think the software bug issue was definitely one concern, and it's definitely one of the reasons why I'm very dangerous, or very cautious about solutions that try to move really quickly. There's other concerns as well, for example, just all of the issues around how would the bridge even work? If it's a multi-sig, then could people steal the keys? If it has a governance token, could people take over the governance token? Could people even 51% attack one of the chains? I do think that once you start going between chains, there are all of these really complicated issues that don't exist if you stick on any one of the chains, and that is a concern. The problems with moving between rollups, for example, are definitely smaller, just because.
Bad idea, these bridges.
Yeah. I think the bridges are an interesting position where the way that I describe it is they have anti-network effects, in that I think cross-chain bridges become less secure the more users they have. And so if there are only a few people using them, then I would trust them. I would say that they're very safe. But the more people start using them, the more incentive there is for people to attack them, so they can steal money from all the users at the same time. So I would feel more comfortable using the bridges when they have 50,000 ETH in them than when they have 500,000 or 5 million, right? So I definitely expect them continue to be used, but are they going to be this really big thing that turns assets into something that's very independent from which layer they're issued on? I would say no.
Laura Shin's book drops on Tuesday. Have you had a chance to read it?
I've not.
She talks a lot about the Ethereum community founders and the, egos involved, and the mismatches. You had a chance to speak to her about it, and I guess one of the things she wrote about you is that you were very conflict resistant. And
sure, that sounds true.
Okay, you also have a book.
Yes, I do. Yeah. So the Nathan Schneider and 7 Stories were kind enough to make this kind of lovely, compilation of all of the all of the best essays, I would say, that I've written over the last basically 8 years or so since Ethereum started. So it's I guess I mean, I definitely recommend it. If you, I guess, if you want to have a chance to kind of read everything and see, I guess the progression of like thinking around Ethereum and how the way that like we think about things has changed over the years and the kinds of issues that we've grappled with. I think it's definitely lovely.
One last question. You're Canadian. Right now, Canada has the Emergencies Act invoked. They are blocking cryptocurrency addresses to prevent truckers protesting COVID restrictions from accessing funds. I wonder your thoughts on the whole crisis.
Yeah, I mean that stuff's definitely like getting a little crazy. Like I think, like my view on this is like if you're like if the truckers are blocking the roads and that's breaking the economy, like fine, blocking the roads is illegal and there's laws against that. But like if they're not willing to actually, follow the processes, or if the government is not willing to like follow the processes, follow the laws, give people a chance to defend themselves, and all of those things, and they just want to like talk to the banks and basically cut out people's financial livelihoods without due process. I mean, honestly, yeah, like that is an example of the sort of thing that like that decentralized technology is there to make more difficult. So, like it's also a good example of how like it's. It is definitely like it's not about like being lawless, right? It is in some ways it's about bringing rule of law back, right? Like they can still like you can still go at like fine people, you can still go after people, you can still like go just act. The government and police can act lawfully as they always have. Like this concept of like going after intermediaries and like basically using intermediaries as a way to bypass all that, like it is dangerous, and I do think that like having decentralized alternatives to intermediaries is a good way to limit the damage that this kind of dependence on intermediaries can do.
Thank you so much, Vitalik, for your time. We're just hanging out with the devs, chilling out here at ETH Denver with Vitalik Buterin, the founder of Ethereum.